I think personally, I've also lived in Greenpoint over 30 years. We have a huge homeless problem, even though it's a small population, and we do owe them something to do something for them. Not everybody wants to be helped. Not everybody will take the help, and no, you don't want it next door to you, and you don't want it across the street. But the homeless are going to be there. They're going to be in your yards peeing. They're going to be in front of your house throwing garbage. They're going to sit on my stairs and drink wine. This is what they're going to do, even if they sleep across the street, and even if they don't. Because before we had respite bed programs, I was soap and watering urine. I was picking up bottles. This is going to happen regardless. We all know these people who have been here for years. We know them. We know their families. We don't know them personally. You could recognize them by face. You know they're not like myself and yourself. They don't get up and go to work. They go out on the street. They do what they're going to do. We're just trying to keep them safe. I have no part in this. But I do know this is not going to hurt us as much as our other shelter will. And I think the focus on that shelter has shifted to smaller programs. And it needs to shift back to the larger 200-bed assessment shelter that is busing people in, and that is bringing in offenders, bringing in people who have not been assessed. They don't know how safe they are. They're bringing in level 3 offenders, and for people who don't know, look it up. It's not good. That's what you don't want. You don't want to complain and make a huge thing about the immigrant population that is sleeping on the streets and dying in your parks. That's who you want to help, because they have no place to go. They won't go anyplace else. They're not going to leave the neighborhood. And you want to try to help the local people. You don't want them busing in hundreds of men who have tons of mental health issues, offender histories. You're talking rapists, people who assault people, people who haven't been caught, people who are homeless because of these things, because nobody wants to rent to a rapist, because I know I wouldn't. So those are the type of people you have in your assessment shelter. And yeah, they didn't want it on my block, your block, so they put it in the back by the bridge. But guess what? They walk. And they're walking down Manhattan Avenue, and when you say you've seen a change, it ain't because of this. And it isn't because of Milton Street. It's not. You have a 200-bed homeless shelter on Clay and McGinnis.
Right.
That is where you're seeing all these people from.
No, we never had it before. This is 2 or 3 months. Here's people.
They have just started taking
We
people.
never had the problem before.
Believe me, this homeless shelter is just now filling up. They are now looking. They are hiring. Trust me.
That's right, it's changed.
And yeah, it's a huge difference. So this, to me, is not a problem. When I heard about this, I wanted to see exactly what this is. And from hearing it, even if they're lying about little fine nuances,
Do you live on
I live on Kent Street, and I've lived there for over 30 years. And you know my mother, so you know I came from a good breed. I'm Christine's daughter.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
You do.
Yeah,
I'm
you know.
Christine's daughter at St. Anthony's.
Oh, Chris, oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, when you get all riled up, yeah, when you get all riled up, because I know the homeless issue, to me, I'd rather serve them than fight them. The offenders are my problem. And it's not this program that's going to do that. We need to focus on the other homeless issues and the people that are peeing in our gates and, watching our children. That's what we need to focus on.
Let me take you over here.
Following this woman, I'm not feeling so hot, so I'm going to
Okay.
keep on. But before I go back to my heated home, I just wanted to thank the councilman and the father for doing something, to say what is to complain about human beings like they're rats.
yeah.
We live across the street, and we always feel like the church treats it like, there's garbage here, and there, it's kind of the back of the church. And I was wondering if the church would be interested in sharing the program so that they access both sides, Kent Street and Java Street, to minimize or distribute the distribution.
Sharing the program, meaning, I'm
Meaning,
Have an entrance on 10th Street.
entrance or exit on 10th Street 50% of the time, because it seems like this is the dumping ground for the church. The church has their positive side on Kent Street, and then they leave us.
So you're talking about the van, you would, rather than the van pull up
For
here,
instance, 2 days ago, I saw 3 different people going through garbage on my way to work. Just right afterwards, because they all came out the door and started going through garbage. So I was just thinking, some days it would be helpful to have them go out Kent Street.
What time?
Gotcha.
What time
Okay.
is it? I just need to know what time they came out. I need to track these things.
It was between 7:30 and 8:30. I don't know about that.
In the morning?
It was probably between 7:30 and 8.
Okay, because those guys would have been in the garbage.
so,
You guys take them away in the van.
yes, they go to McDullough to McCown Park.
Yeah, other folks. I just need to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was,
That's good to know anyway.
I mean, here's the thing that I would just try to say to folks, back to the discussion about that we have a lot of different pockets of homeless people. So, if you happen to believe us, and you don't have to, that we have we have a van, they drop them off and pick them up and take them out. Well, I'm going to believe the people in this room too. So that would say to me that there's a problem with homeless people on the block.
Collateral damage.
That's a thesis. It could be collateral damage. We could drive them to McGoldrick, and they love this block so much that they come back and they're in his garbage can at 9 o'clock. That's possible. Or a HUD thesis, or HUD thesis, which is, you might be getting some of the 200 from McGinnis Boulevard.
There's a lot of them that come
Yeah,
through.
yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think our task force can look at what's happening on the block and see if we can figure out ways to deal with what is not, I'm going to tell you straight up, my dead certain belief is not the 9 guys. All right? That doesn't mean they're not a problem for you, and that doesn't mean that they're not homeless. It just means I find it hard to believe that we're driving them there and they're coming back here. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a pretty airtight process, and we did that because of what we learned, which is that they would hang out if you took them to Manhattan Avenue and said, go that way. They might turn around and come back. So that's not happening. So the thought that they would then come back when they've been told in English and Polish, wave the 2 guys in the back there, they're not particularly dainty, they're the regulars, all right, bilingual, all right. They've been told that if you don't follow the rules, you get banned, because these are a limited amount of seats.
The rules every night are read in English and Polish, almost like an AA meeting.
So there's a problem. I mean, you're seeing a problem, there's a problem. So if we can be helpful figuring out that process, you do have the guys from Common Ground. Now, Common Ground can deal with any homeless person anywhere. That's their job and their mission. They have paid staff to do that. We can bring them into that process, and we can look at the block, and we can have people stay on the block, because it is their job to engage homeless people and try to build relationships with them. So we could literally do that, but I think you got to separate either, and it's okay. I'm going to look at this guy. Yeah, we're running a complete scam, and everything we're doing is a lie. Or what I'm telling you is the 9 guys in here are not the guys out there, and that don't make them not a problem, but they're not the 9 guys.
I'm Scott Fraser. I've lived in the neighborhood since 1980. Love the neighborhood. Lived right next door, actually, right here. And now live on Kent Street. My question is, and I think what you're feeling here is historically,
Right.
you grew up in the neighborhood.
Right.
You know this neighborhood has been a dumping ground for so many
Yes.
things, for so many years.
Yes.
We're just now, for the first time in the history of the neighborhood, able to legally go to our waterfront just 1 block from here and actually look at the river.
Right.
So we're on the cusp of something unprecedented in this neighborhood. Not only that, some good things are happening and bad things are happening as well. But what you're sensing here, and Councilman, forgive me, but your attitude, I think, is completely wrong. I don't think it's fair to balkanize us and like we don't care about the homeless or we don't care. Let me just finish. That we don't care about the problem. We do. We do have a heart. But I don't think it's fair, I would agree with the lack of transparency. I don't think that's fair to this neighborhood. You're going to get a real pushback because people here have been taken advantage of for a long time. So we're ready for good things. That's not to say we don't care about the problem. It's a real problem. So in this spirit of transparency, I'm asking, Father, is this a temporary fix?
Absolutely.
Is it just till this summer and then not going to come back?
I think it is temporary. It's absolutely temporary, and I think Martin Luther King, one of his greatest last speeches was called "Where do we go from here?" And I think that's a big question. And I think there's a lot of good energy in the room. I mean, I see a lot of neighbors and a lot of people, and I think everybody has a right to be concerned based on whatever their concern is, And I think what we can do is use some of this energy, some of the good energy, and to focus on how people can team up and help this population, help each other, help the quality of life in the neighborhood by working with the councilman, by working with others to find perhaps a different location that works better in the community. What's that? Whatever the case may be, but I think the real issue is using the energy in a constructive way, because what can tend to happen is, we can sit here and jump on each other and go back and forth, and I don't know if that's...
So I think when I'm hearing, and you stop me because you're the landlord, I think I'm hearing it's a temporary program at this site. And
So I take your word that
Right,
I think
it
what
is.
you'll find with the neighborhood, and with us
Right.
here on the block, and all of us who care about the neighborhood, that with advance notice, include us in the conversation, transparency, I think you'll find that people will pull their weight. They will do the right thing, and I think that's kind of the answer here. That right now we're fighting mobile oil. We're fighting the oil spill. We're fighting radioactive waste. We fought incinerator that has been polluting our neighborhood that we now closed. So we're seeing some light, but it's just whenever we feel something has been foisted on us without any kind of...
And again, we have no commitments, but from an advocacy point of view, the task force is very interested in looking at the McGinnis Boulevard shelter. If it's going to be there, is there a way to carve out some kind of community asset that would help our local problem? And so we're in that dialogue. We have no commitments, but if we can carve a local piece out of that, from where I sit, you may want it closed, but if it's open, if we can get local homeless served in that process, that would be a good thing. We're gonna try to do that. I think what John's saying is, look, his bottom line, my bottom line was you guys could throw chairs at us. We're gonna get through the winter. We don't want anybody freezing to death on the streets of Greenpoint, and we don't have any money beyond May. So it's a temporary program. He took it. We tried to get out to you guys relatively fast. I think this young lady made a good point. Maybe we should have got out even faster. But as Steve said, we didn't have a lot of turnover time, and it was cold every night. So we weren't looking to shut and open and shut and open.
But
So.
just for the future, if you tell any one of us on the block, trust me, it'll get quicker than any email you ever send out.
But
I just want to speak really quickly.
Go ahead.
I certainly didn't want to give off the attitude that or say that some people want to take responsibility, other people don't. I think that my opinion is that we have, as a community, we have a collective responsibility, and I think that a lot of people do want to help out with this particular situation wherever they are. I was just saying that as in my official capacity as a city council member, I feel that responsibility. So that's all.
I think you'll find many people here that, if not all people, feel the same responsibility. I mean, I don't think you're going to find this to be a cold community. I think people care, and we deal with it, in our daily life, and I think you find a dialogue, and that positive dialogue.
That is certainly been the experience that I've had so far, and again, I apologize for not being able to get this out sooner to the folks on the block. I would have liked to have done that. It was just not possible given our time constraints.
now, I just clarified something with Chris, which maybe is helpful in your situation. If you call 311 and give a location and indicate that there's a homeless person in distress, urinating and whatever, and they will route that call to Common Ground, and Common Ground will dispatch their outreach units to engage that person. So,
Go right to the team.
all right. So again, if you're out there seeing people on the street, I would really strongly suggest you do that so that we can clarify and figure out what's going on. Because
Was there a number here that we could all have if there's a problem we could call?
So I think you're gonna get a lot of calls. So just like a general.
yeah, I think they're going to want to look an address. Like if you have a guy in the gate, you want to give him the address.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Now, this is an evening.
So if you want to call, say if there's an issue on the block, and you want to call the cell phone that's respite bed
And
program.
this is only from 9 to 6, right?
Right, exactly. So that number that you would call is 646-628-6008. And then you can say there's somebody on the block, can you go check it out? You know, we can't always be running there, but we think it's, so it's 646-628-6008.
And this
Well,
is from 9 to 6:30?
yeah, I'd say 9 to 6, because we'll be off the clock by then.
They're out from
If you find something during the day that, you can always call 311 and get routed to the outreach team. They can try and respond as fast as they can.
But when you do as efficient as they may be,
Right.
you dial 911, by the time they come, they're going to.
Absolutely. And it's, right, no, and it depends on the location. Sometimes we might be right in the neighborhood, sometimes we might be in Cohasset.
And he's a 311, a homeless person, may not be as important as somebody.
Well, what'll happen is say,
No, that goes to the
yeah, you'll
homeless.
say, like, if you say,
It'll go to them.
I have a homeless person in
Or they'll give you a
Brooklyn,
specialist in.
they're gonna call out that call
directly.
Yeah.
They'll
So
go
you'll be
around.
speaking with them. No, you'll just, all you have to say is that there's a homeless person unemployed on your street, give the location, and what can happen is that call can go directly to the team that's out there.
My bottom line